Hello, this is Carol from Caroline Creates. Today I'm showing you how to work the first 10 rows of this square from Deco Fun. There are 4 patterns in this little design that come together, but today I'll just show you the first 10 rows, and after that hopefully you'll have it and be able to follow my written instructions or the chart for these patterns. I'll just show you the chart here that I'll be looking at. And for those of you that are not familiar, this is Knit Companion, and it's a free app, and it's really amazing. You can move this up and down to keep track of your rows, or you can move sideways here to keep track of what stitch you're up to. And when you log out, it keeps your spot. And I believe that if you purchase a paid version, you can change the width of this yellow line because it's a little bit too wide. But I just put it where I can see what row I'm doing there, and it works fine. So anyway, I'll get on and show you how to get it started. Now I always start with a magic circle, but you can do chain 2 and work into the second chain from your hook. Now a magic circle, this is how I do it. You've got your end here. A lot of people do struggle with this, so that's why I'll just go through it slowly. You've got your end piece, and you definitely have to leave enough to weave your end in, and then I wind around 2 fingers, and then I cross over like that. And my hook goes under this first bit, and then I pull the second bit through and try and hold it all together while I get the yarn in the right position. I think this is where people struggle. It's the holding it kind of together here. And of course the first thing you do is a chain, so you've kind of locked it in there. And now in the pattern is 8 SC into the magic circle. So you just work them in like this. So that's 8, and you can pull it closed, but not too tight just yet. And well, this I'll show you now the join. That's the most important part to get a nice neat join. I'm using the join from Bebablanket. She has this amazing join which I haven't come across anywhere else, and it's an invisible join. So basically you go through, this is my first stitch here, and if you're not sure how many, you can count them back. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sometimes it's a bit sometimes a bit hard to get through this stitch, so you can go, sometimes I go through the front to make it a bit looser, and then put my hook through the back and grab the loop and pull it through. And now I've got to join my other colour, which is this one. But I like to get it organised around my hand first. This is how I tend to hold the yarn. A bit different to lots of people. Okay, so row 1 is just SC. So, but the chain, the join, I'll just do the join. So what you do, you have again enough yarn there to weave in later on, and you just pull a loop through and then tighten that first loop and then chain 1. Now, just being the first row is a little different to the others because you're working off the chain, the magic circle here. So in this first stitch is where I'm going to do my first corner. So I'm going to go in the back loop, and to get a nice neat finish on the back, again, this is Bebablanket's tip. You can grab your yarn here, and it's the long yarn piece, not your end, and pull it over your hook, and then do your first SC, chain 1, SC, but you only put that over the first stitch, not over any other stitches. So that's my first corner. And then it's 1 SC, and then the next corner. Of course, as you know, you should know by now, if you're doing Mosaic Crochet, that it's all, SCs are always in the back loop only here. So I'm going to do another corner, and this is an SC corner, so SC, chain 1, and SC all into the same back loop. Then it's 1 SC, and then another corner, SC, chain 1, and SC again, all into the same back loop. 1 SC, then another corner, and then 1 SC again, and now we get to the join. So pull out a little loop, and then at that first SC here, ignore this because that's the chain at the back, which will be covered up, you can't see. So this is the first SC of the corner. So if you go through the back of the corner there, pull the loop through, tighten a bit, and then you grab your other yarn. Be careful not to grab the end. You want to grab the long bit of yarn. I guess it's a bit messy here in this beginning stage here. And yeah, so it's a chain 1 and then tighten. I mean, not chain 1, it's just pulling the yarn through, tighten it, and then a chain 1. Now in my pattern, as you can see, I've just done row 1, so I'm on to row 2 now, which is where am I? Something to point with. So row 2, which is this row, it goes all the way around here. So that's row 2. So that I've done. There's the corner which I will do, and then it's 1 SC, 1 DC in the front loop down here, and then 1 SC and another corner. So you work that all the way around. Now, some people, when we come back around to this join again, you will need to do your last stitch in that SC where you've just done the invisible join. So I always find it can be very difficult to locate. So especially for those who are new to crochet, it's a good idea to put a stitch marker in the back loop there so you'll know that that's your last stitch when you come back around there. And for some people, you can put a stitch marker in the corner, again in the corner chains here, so to remind yourself, if you have trouble locating them, put a stitch marker in there to help you locate those chains. Okay, so we've just come through here and done the join. So you work your corners into, you go straight into the back loop there of the chain from the previous row and work your corner there. So it's going to be an SC corner. So it's SC. Oops, now I nearly forgot. I've had trouble remembering this, I don't know why. To bring this yarn over for that neat look on the back. So you bring that over and then do an SC, but that's it. Then you drop it back down. Then it's chain 1, another SC into the same corner stitch there. And the pattern is 1 SC, 1 DC, which is in the front loop 2 rows below, and then another SC, and then we're at the corner again. So in that corner chain, I find it easier to tell which one is the corner chain because you can see, for those that are new to crochet, you can see that all of these are coming out of that. They're all joined. They're all in the same chain from the previous row into the same chain. So that's your 2 SCs, and then in the middle there, which is this one actually, in the middle there, that's an SC. That's an SC with the 2 legs on the SCs, and in the middle you've got your chain. So if you haven't got a stitch marker in there, that's how you can find your chain. So it's SC, chain 1, SC, 1 SC, 1 DC into the front loop, and another SC, and back at another corner here. I'm calling these SC corners because later on we'll do a DC corner, which I'll show you what that is. I'm sorry if my thumb is covering up some of the work here. It's a bit hard to not cover it up as I do the work, as I'm doing it. Now back to another corner here. Then SC, the DC. It can be a little tricky here to work out which DC, which stitch it is, because you've got that little loop that from that invisible stitch that sometimes you can see that little loop. Now my last SC is going to be into this stitch here where we did the join from the last row. That doesn't seem quite right, but it is. So pull up a loop and we'll do another join. Gets a little easier once you get past these first few rows. I like to pull that a bit tight too before I start with the yarn. So it's pull the yarn through, then a chain 1, now the next one, as you can see here on row 3, it's a DC corner here. Instead of doing a chain, I'm going to do a DC in this corner here. And the reason for that is really because I want to cover up this colour here and to make this more or less all the background colour here. Okay, so in the corner here, the first one is an SC, and bring your yarn over And the next one, instead of a chain, it's a DC into this. It can be a bit tricky to see, but that's the front loop there from the corner chain, up 2 rows below. It can be a bit hard to get into those sometimes because they're, you know, you've got to kind of push your way in sometimes. They're a bit tight. And I like to do these a little bit looser. And then go back into that chain behind here to do the other SC. So as we go along, I'll show you. I'll show you what that's it. We're doing row 3 here. So okay. So the next stitch on the pattern here, you can see that, I think. Yes, the first one is a DC, and it goes into the same chain that this one has been worked into from 2 rows below. Quite easy when it's the same chain, at least you can get into it easily. Okay, and then there's 3 SC. And then a DC into this chain. And then I've got my corner again. The first stitch being an SC, the second one being a DC into that chain from 2 rows below. And then you have to go back behind here again to go through that. I don't know if you can, how clearly you can see that. You have to go back behind, back to that corner chain to do another SC. Okay, and then my first stitch is another DC again into this corner chain. So that's 3 DCs into this corner chain there. And then 3 SCs. Now DC into the corner chain again. And then my corner chain here from the last row, SC, and then another DC instead of, in the middle there, instead of the chain, and then another SC. So it's SC, DC, SC is the corner. So I'm calling those DC corners in the pattern. And DC here, 3 SC. And then a DC into the corner chain from 2 rows below. Now the corner again. SC, and then a DC, and then a SC at the back into that corner chain again. Now a DC, and 3 SCs. Now this last stitch here, as you can see is a DC before the join. So I'm going into that same corner chain with this DC where I started. and do the join. So through the back loop here of that first SC that's in the corner, and pull the yarn through. And then I like to change over my hands here for the next colour yarn. And so pull through and then chain one. I'll just tighten that up again, the blue one. Okay, so now we're on to row 4. Can you see that? Row 4. There. Because this is row 4 going up and across there. So the it's an SC corner. It's not the DC corner like that. The DC corners are, you can see because of the DC actually in the corner. So this is an SC corner. And so instead of, so the corner chain, instead it's not a chain, this time it's a DC. So I go into the back loop of the DC there and bring my other yarn up over the hook. SC, chain 1, SC, but don't try and remember to drop that other yarn. You only do it for one stitch there. SC. As we get along, I'll show you what the back looks like, so you can see that you can see a bit more when it's a bit neater. Okay, so I've got 2 SCs here. 2 SCs, 3 DCs. Then 2 SCs, and another corner, SC corner, which is SC1, chain 1, SC1 into the same stitch, 2 SCs, 3 DCs, I don't crochet very fast. I mean, a lot of people crochet a lot faster than me, but I just don't seem to be able to. I like to enjoy it slowly. That's what I tell myself anyway. So 2 SCs, and then a corner, SC corner, and 2 SCs, 3 DCs, two SCs, and then a SC corner. Oops, just moving my onto my screen here. Let's move it back a little. And it's 2 SCs. Three DCs. And 2 SCs. Now, because I didn't put a stitch marker here, you can see it's quite tricky to get into that SC, but if you hold this back, to get into that back loop there of that that last SC, and as I said, this is the same stitch as to where we did that invisible join. Oops. Having a stitch marker there is very helpful. I just keep forgetting to put one in. But I'll just do the next join. So that's starting to look okay. I might just pull this a little, the magic circle a little tighter, so you can get a bit of a look to see how it's going to look. Yeah, so yeah, we're getting there. Because the further along you go, the better it starts to look. Now up to row 5. Which I can probably show you the back a little bit now. So you can see that this little section here is quite neat when you know, it's you cut, the join is quite neat, and that's that terrific join by Bebablanket, and it really does, you really can't tell which corner has the join. So it's a very clever join, that one. Now row 5 has a DC corner. Row 5 there you can see with the X in the corner. So, but the first stitch is the SCs, where the number is, it's an SC in the empty square. And so the first stitch in the corner here is an SC. Then it's a DC into the front loop of that DC down here from the previous corner. Then another SC going back into that same loop, corner, back loop, corner chain. Okay. And now there's 2 DCs. The first one will go into the same front loop. Then the second one goes into the normal front loop, and there's 5 SCs across here. Just get my yarn sorted a bit. Now 2 DCs. And the next one goes into that, these ones here, the last ones, they go down into the front loop of that DC corner there from 2 rows below. And then I'm into the DC corner, so it's an SC, and then a DC into that same front loop from 2 rows below. Actually, that was a little loose. I might do that one again. Sometimes I find that I do a DC and I think, oh, that just looks a bit loose. I have to do it again. And then the SC back into that same corner chain from the previous row. Then it's 2 DC, the first one going into the corner, into that same front loop from 2 rows below. And 5 SC. think yarn tangle is just a occupational hazard when you're a crocheter. And 2 DC. And then a DC corner. So in that corner chain again, here, it's an SC and then a DC. And then the SC back again, and the same corner chain. And 2 DC. 5 SC. There's 2 DC. Again, the second one's in that front loop of the corner DC. And then in the corner, 1 SC, 1 DC, 1 SC. And now there's 2 DCs. And 5 SC. And 2 DCs. Corner joint. If you struggle getting, sometimes like I think I said before, if you struggle getting your hook through the back, there, you can go through the front really easily from the back. Now to bring up the other yarn. And tighten it, and chain 1. Now we're moving on to row 6, which is an SC corner. So in the back loop of the corner DC. Oops, I almost forgot that to do that again. I tend to forget this, to pull this over the, oops. Might have forgotten that on the last couple of rows, but anyway. 1 SC, then you drop it down, chain 1, and another SC. So here I've got 3 SCs. Can you see that? There, 3 SCs, 2 DCs, and then the rest. So that's 2 DCs, 1 SC, another 2 DCs, and then 3 SCs. Then an SC corner. Three SCs, 2 DCs, one SC, 2 DCs, when you're doing DCs, you do use up a lot of yarn to unwind it quite a lot. 3 SCs, then an SC corner. So with all these corners, you're actually adding 2 stitches to each side here. Two DC, one SC, two DC, three SCs, and an SC corner. And 3 SCs. Two DCs. One SC, 2 DCs, and 3 SCs. And again, that last one is very tricky. I don't know if you can see how hard it is to get into there. That's why it's a good idea to put the stitch marker in there. So do the join again. Pull the loop through, tighten a bit, and get ready with my next yarn, which is even more tangled now than it was before. Oh, goodness me, I don't know what I've done here. Got it all very tangled. I think I have to, I'll just pause for a minute to untangle my yarn. Oh. Okay, I'm back here. I think I've actually started a new video, but anyway, I don't do these very often, and I'm not very good at videos, but okay, so pull that through. It took me forever once to work out. I did a whole lot of small videos. It took me forever to figure out how to join them together, but I did manage to do it. Okay, so we're going to be on row 7 now. And in that corner, it's a SC corner. Oops. It's in the right place. Put the yarn over the top. And drop that yarn down the back. Now row 7 is 2 SC, 1 DC, 3 SC, I don't know if I mentioned before that in this pattern, this particular one, the purple colour is the colour B, and the white is colour A, which is the background colour. B is always, in all my patterns, B is always the pattern colour, and A is the background colour. Another DC, here, 2 SC, and an SC corner. Two SC, and a DC. I often like to check when I'm looking at, I can see there that that DC goes down into this one, which is one across from that one. So when I'm looking at things, I'm always checking that as I go, so I make sure my pattern is correct. And it's this one across here. It's just kind of what I've got used to doing, you know, as I've done a lot of mosaic crochet. Three SC that was, then there's a DC in the middle here, then 3 SC, and 1 DC, and it's that second one across, so I'm in the right place, then 2 SC, and a SC corner. Then 2 SC, and then a DC, three SC, and a DC. And 3 SC, and a DC. And then 2 SC, and a SC corner. And then 2 SC, 1 DC, three SC, one DC, three SC, and then 1 DC, and then 2 SC, and again this last stitch can be quite tricky to get into. I'll have to remember to put a stitch marker because you can stretch it out a bit with a stitch marker. And we're joining again. Actually, I should have it around this way. So I'll just tighten that up a bit. Then pull the yarn through. And then chain 1. So the next one is row 8 here, which I don't know if you can see, row 8 is there. And that's an SC corner. So sometimes I have to look carefully to make sure I'm working into my chain there. So I know that from this first SC there, this is the corner chain. Yes, almost forgot to put the yarn over the top. And drop the yarn back down. It's a SC corner. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 SC. Two DC. Three SC. And 2 DC. And 4 SC. And then an SC corner. And 4 SC. And 2 DC. Three SC. And 2 DC. Four SC. And the SC corner. Four SC. Oops, moving my thing around here. and 2 DC, three SC, two 2 DC, you're probably noticing that I'm not moving that this blue line very much. For a small pattern like this, I don't really need to, but I tell you, if you're working on a larger pattern, it's just amazingly helpful. You can always just move it to the last, do 3 or 4 stitches, then move it along, 3 or 4 stitches, move it along. It's just, just so terrific to keep your place. So 4 SC. And an SC corner. Oops. Sorry about that. I bumped my camera. I'm actually using a phone here in a very weird way. 4 SC now. I've got my phone attached to an old lamp, which is the head is kind of upside down, and it's attached with an elastic band. So I'm not very good. I haven't got professional at doing videos, as you can probably tell. But I do my best. I'm trying to, so it's just 3 SC here. I'm trying to avoid wandering off the screen, which is what I've done in the past. So it's 2 DC. And some people say I'm not close enough to the camera, but I'm hoping today I'm a bit closer and not wandering as much. And then 4 SC. Because normally I'm sitting on the lounge when I'm crocheting, so sitting at a desk is a little bit out of place for me. I tend to, I wander off the screen because I tend to sort of pull it towards me, which is what I normally do. But I'm sitting so close to the table here now to try and avoid that. Just going to untwist this a little bit to... Oops, it's my phone making noises. Okay, so the next row is row 9, and it's an SC corner again on row 9. Chain 1. I hope you can't hear that it's flapping in the background. I've got a fan on here because it's quite warm here today, and my blinds are flapping a little bit every time the fan comes around. I might just see if I can do something about that. Okay, I hope I didn't move my camera here when I did that, but so what are we up to? Row 10. So it's 3 SC. I think I might have moved the camera a bit. Anyway, as long as you can see me. Now I have to go back because I didn't catch that yarn. In the first corner SC, to catch the yarn, put it over the hook. Honestly, I just seem to have a mental blank when it comes to that. I forget it so often. So it's 3 SCs. Did I move the camera before a bit? I think I might have. Just try and adjust it to a bit better here. Okay, 3 SCs, 1 DC. Three SCs. And 3 DCs. And 3 SCs. And 1 DC. And it's on here, it's easy to tell that that DC is going to be right next to this one, and as you can tell from the chart. So it's another way of checking that you're in the right place. And now I'm up to the SC corner. Then it's 3 SCs. One DC. Again, it's right next to this one, so I know it's in the right place. Three SCs. Three DCs. It is warming up here. My hands are getting a bit sticky from the heat. I think it's going to be in the 30s today. That's centigrade. Yeah, Celsius. Then 1 DC. Oh, 1 DC and then 3 SCs. And an SC corner. And 3 SC. DC. Three SCs. Three DCs. 3 SCs, 1 DC, 3 SCs, and the corner SC corner, and 3 SCs, one DC, three SCs, three DCs, some people worry about the front loop pulling up like it does here, but it all settles down. As you can see on the previous stitches, it's all settles down and it hasn't, there's no holes at the bottom. And 3 SCs. I just find that the holes, when you use a very light colour yarn like white, the holes do tend to show up a lot more. 1 DC and 3 more SCs, and that last one it's very hard to get into. I'm just going to use a stitch marker to kind of pull it up a bit. And go do the join again through the, so you're always doing it through that first SC in the corner there. Now row 10 is another SC corner, so I have to do that chain 1 and a SC corner and put my yarn over the hook and then drop the yarn back. So don't forget it's only over that first stitch, not the next one. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SCs. Five SCs, 2 DC. And another 5 SCs. Yarn tangle yet again. Then it's 2 DCs. Don't you love how the pattern starts to show, you know, that's kind of what keeps me interested in Mosaic Crochet. I like seeing the pattern start to show itself. And there's 5 SCs here on the end. It's 5. in the corner, SC corner, and 5 SCs. Two DC. So really the hardest part about working in the round, I think, is just getting started in those first few rows. After that, it's easy. I suppose because it's so small, there's just 5 SCs here, because it's so small, it's harder to handle. And 2 DCs. And another 5 SCs. And a SC corner. And my yarn is pulling. When I did the original designs for this, I was working with black yarn, and oh gee, starting those first few rows was very difficult. Black yarn is not easy to work with. And 2 SCs. I mean 2 DCs there, it's 2 DCs. And 5 SCs. Two DCs. And 5 SCs. It's an easy row to remember. It's just 5, 2, 5, 2. And a corner, SC corner, and we're nearly there. 5 SCs. And 2 DCs. Five SCs. Two DCs. And 5 SCs. And that last one again, you can see that that's the stitch, that's the front loop, and then this part here is the back loop, which is tight. There we are. So I'm onto join again. There we are. So that's 10 rows, and it's starting to look quite nice now. And I'll show you the back. So I think here this is a longer loop here. You can see I think I've forgotten to put that over the. It goes like that when you forget to sort of put it over your hook after that, just as you're doing that first stitch. But it doesn't matter as much, can't be. It's not that noticeable. But you can see this nice join up the back here. It really is quite good, and almost like the other corners, you can't, tell much difference. Now I can't emphasize enough that with the magic circle, to make sure you weave your yarn in, and of course with the first new color, the number of posts I've seen on Facebook where there's magic circles have come undone. There's no magic about it. The only magic is you can tighten it, but you still have to weave it in quite thoroughly to keep it. I go around and then over a loop and then back around again. At least do that to secure it. So there we go. That's 10 rows. Well, I hope that's enough to get you started. And what you will see on one of my other, there's 4 designs in this pattern, 4 squares. 2 of them start with colour B, but 2 of them actually start with the background colour for a couple of rows there. Yes, here's one here where it's started with the background colour. And as you can see, the black, impossible to see, so hard to work with. And then the second row is also black. So you still do the join in the same manner as you did it here, as we did it here. And that join, though, you really can't tell that this is the join side. It's an excellent join, Bebablanket's join. I haven't come across anything better than that. Anyway, so I hope that's helpful for you. And hopefully you'll make yourself a nice blanket out of these patterns. And thank you for watching. Okay, bye.